the budget as we're going forward, to what was compared to for the budget for current year. For the co-op fund, I did not do a bar on this one for the 304, for the 216, because the 216 is a gas tax, which is located in the special revenues. And that's where those funds are transferred into the 304 co-op fund. So for 216 and 304 for the co-op fund, I have not done a bar for those. These expenditures that are here in the road co-op fund were additional expenditures that were done for a project. And yes, I do see that deficit there, but it's not included into the general fund portion of where it's going to be transferred from the general fund. Excuse me.
I think, John, you can correct me, I think this was that situation on the Tenorio Road culvert. When they went to replace the culvert, they hit a gas line that nobody knew was underneath there, and it added 2 weeks to the project. I think that's with $21,000.
Okay. So.
And you had no choice, but.
Right, but to fix it, yes. And it was booked into because it was under that project, it was booked into the road co-op. With a lot of these expenses, I have been categorizing them into the correct projects. Another example, and I think just to shift gears, excuse me, would be the wastewater treatment plant. Now this wastewater treatment plant has a significant amount of money to be able to draw down on, which is on page 46. Now that deficit of 103 is in process of being reimbursed. All of these funds, which is our largest project, is in the village of Corrales, and being able to sustain those reimbursements. And instead of being $737,000 deficit, because I've been on top of these grants and trying to be able to assist in doing this and continually get the money back as quickly as I can for turnaround, that money is being reimbursed upon. So, I mean, to look at a bigger picture with stuff that I can compare the wastewater treatment plant project compared to the 304 project. 304 project, the revenues are given to us prior. They're already awarded to us in advance. We do the expenditures, as was the deficit of $21,000, we had no control over. It was an emergency, it needed to get done, but it was due to that project. But and I think my best explanation for this is taking on the finance officer position. I have brought in as much as I can to be able to reimburse the village, even on prior year expenses that were conducted for this wastewater project, for the different grants that are sustained by the village of Corrales. And I can say for the department directors, they are doing what they can to be able to use as much as they can from the special revenue grants that they are allowed. And I think that's I know it's what's alleviating the pressure from the 101. So with that in mind, I think I would commend these department heads for them trying to find other resources instead of hitting the 101. And that's what really has alleviated, and that's where it has balanced it out a little bit more than what it was.
And I understand, and that's actually not really where I was kind of going with the questioning. I guess, again, very generally with the questioning, when I see the deficits in the, and I also understand that, for example, with the wastewater project, that we have to front the money for services, and then we apply for reimbursements, and sometimes those cross over different fiscal years.
Right.
But in the end, the village is made whole, and I understand that as kind of project management. But in the meantime, my question was, are these impacting the general fund? And I see, go to the next page, we have the impact fee fund. And for this current fiscal year, we show no transfers in or transfers out, but we show a deficit of $63,000. And we're paying professional services of $52,000, and we're paying, you know, a debt service on this, and is that coming out of the general fund? And if so, you know, I guess, so
Is
that's
that
my
impact-
question.
Yeah, and that's where I believe it is confusing to be able to say that we do have the bank accounts that are sustaining these balances to be able to hold that, and that's where it does come, you can't see the whole picture when compared to the actual cash balance in this fund for 316, because those are not distributed in a budget book. So when you ask me, is it being pulled from general fund? No, it's not. It's the actual cash balance compared to here as, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Chris had said your cash balance with your budget. And this is just the budget. This is the budget that has been received for the current year, subtracting the expenditures for this year. So this will not show the bigger picture of what the cash balance is for this fund, for any of these funds for that matter. But with the cash reconciliation that I am on top of, they do sustain the balances to support these expenditures.
In the case of the impact fee, there is a segregated bank account.
Mhm.
And
And if these were not sustainable by cash balance prior to this budget being approved, especially for this fiscal year, DFA would not have allowed the expenditures to go through. And that's why the recap sheet that you see that's in different colors there, it has the beginning cash balance plus revenue minus expenditures to equal that information. And that's what DFA goes by.
And so, in sum, in looking at our expended, you know, balancing our budget, don't consider the capital projects funds or the special revenues funds?
Correct, unless
It's the transfers in and transfers out?
yes,
Okay.
yes. And that's where I've really, like, as I said, I've really worked hard to try and adjust those, and I did miss one that I didn't transfer, and I will adjust that. It's a small expenditure, but they will be incurring them, which is for the farmland. It's a small oversight on my part, I do apologize. But with these, I have worked hard on trying to appropriately keep on track with them and giving you.
And that was going to be my next one, because I saw that on the farmland that the revenues from the taxes, from the property taxes, that were not equal to the debt service that we were paying. And, you know, I thought they were supposed to cover each other, and it was again a question, because if they're not covering each other, then there needs to be adjustments at Sandoval County, and if not, it's coming out of our general fund.
Correct, and that is the same way. The cash is sustainable, and the the debt rate that was for last year was 1.02 last year for the property tax that was being distributed to Village of Corrales. This year it is down, it's down to half that of the debt. But the cash that has come in for the property tax does sustain the debt for that farmland bond. So that, and it skews the picture because of that, and it does not make an accurate picture, but the cash is there to be